One of the main things that I talked about on last year's show was how I thought that we were in a period of a saturation of prequels in pop culture. We just suddenly have this obsession with prequels. You know, Cruella de Vil, the prequel to 101 Dalmatians. Why? Why did that have to exist? They're making a Mufasa prequel to The Lion King. Why? Don't understand why that has to exist. Admittedly now, probably 6 months after I talked about this on the pod, I can't actually think of that many prequels. But I'm positive that there are a lot of prequels out there. And last year on the show, I made a big call, Big Mike's Big Calls. That could be a new segment. I made a big call about this. And I basically was just complaining, like, why are there so many prequels now? Why is everything like, oh, remember this character? Here's how they got this. The Han Solo, the movie, that was another recent prequel. So anyway, this is what I said. This is just this was a joke, but this is just what I said on the show last year about this. Seriously, I would not be surprised if we got a Big Bird prequel that's like the dark and gritty origin story of Big Bird. There you go. I predicted that we might get a Big Bird prequel. You know, prequel to Big Bird from Sesame Street. Mike's big ear of Big Bird, no. And obviously that was a joke. Like, that won't happen. But, you know, just to explain it, and I'm sure most of you understand it, but just to explain it, the joke is that, you know, it's like, I think that all these prequels are so bizarre and out there, i.e. the Cruella prequel, right? That, like, you know, the only way it could get crazier is if there was a dark and gritty Big Bird reboot. Again, which there won't be. But what did I see about a week ago when starting to think of content for this episode of the podcast? Well, I saw a headline that was a trailer for the prequel to Grease is in development. Let that sink in. Grease, as in Grease Lightning, Tell Me More, Summer Nights. You're the one that I... Grease with Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. I never made that connection that they're both in that. There is going to be... I'm going to repeat this. This is a movie from surely the late 70s, early 80s. They are making a prequel for it. They are making a prequel for Grease. And to be honest, I genuinely at this point don't think my Big Bird call was that far off reality. Because Grease is something that I'm very happy to live in the 80s. I'm very happy for Grease to not re-enter the pop culture vernacular. Not that I think there's anything wrong with it. I just think I don't really understand who the demographic is for the Grease prequel, the Grequel. No, that doesn't make sense. But, like, my mum loves Grease because she was a teenager in the 80s, right? Like, my parents watched Grease when they were kids. They're not going to watch some, like, reboot of Grease that's like a teen drama about the people from Grease in, like, high school. I just... And are they trying to make Grease relevant for our generation? Which, like, I guess Grease is relevant for our generation because I've seen Grease when I was a kid because my parents had seen it. I know all the songs because they were just part of common vernacular. I guess it's to make... Like, I guess a lot of you listening to this show, I'm 28, it feels like the main demographic of this show is like people maybe 20 to 34. So I guess a lot of you just maybe haven't seen Grease and don't know what Grease is. Like, it's a musical from the 80s and maybe late 70s, I'm not sure. But, you know, classic guy and girl romance. There's something about a car, Grease Lightning. I don't know. I can barely even remember it. But I just don't... This is my whole point. I don't understand why they're making a Grease prequel. The funny thing about Grease is, like, you go back and watch movies or watch... I know we hear this a lot, but you do go back and watch things from that far back and you realize, like, how, and I hate this word generally, but you realize how problematic they are. And realistically, I actually think everything is problematic. Like, I think if you want to find problematic analogies and problematic things about any pop culture artifact, I think you can find them and make a case for them. So, you know, but I actually do, I find Grease interesting because one of the most popular songs from Grease is, you know, one of the early songs, Summer Nights, as I said. It's the one that's like, na 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 na, yes, summer loving happens so fast. Classic. And I remember when I was in primary school and like we did like the school concert at the end of every year, and my brother's class did Grease, which is a pretty sexual musical for like 10-year-olds to be acting out on screen. And there is a line in the song, Summer Lovin', that I think is just so not, like, it's not funny. Like, it is funny, but it's not funny. I'm just going to play it for you now.
Tell me more, wasn't love at first sight.
Tell me more, did she put up a fight?
Does anyone else find that a little bit uncomfortable? That you know, the girls are all together and like, oh, was it love at first sight? And then one of the guys is like, oh, did she put up a fight? A little bit non-PC by today's standards. What do you mean? What do you mean, did she put up a fight? Awkward. Maybe that's why we leave Grease in the past. But it is like, it is full of those little, like, they sing the song Grease Lightning about the car, and they're like, all it is about how it's gonna get us laid, and like we're gonna get heaps of chicks and stuff. I don't know. Prequels, I don't understand the obsession with prequels, and I definitely will not watch this Grease prequel.